Kirk, Spock, and Scotty walk into a bar. The bartender says, "Damn it, Jim. I'm a doctor, not a bartender."
Shut up, Wesley.
Welcome to The Final Frontier, a Treksphere podcast for all your Star Trek fan film needs. I am Bill Allen, a.k.a. the guy in the red shirt. And joining me today via the internet, we have our fearless leader, Adam Mullen, and our unique special guest host, which we're going to be talking about his Adventures of Dean France audio drama and other Star Trek fan films he's been working in. It's Mr. Andre Martinez.
Hello, thank you for having me.
And is that your radio voice, or...?
That is my radio voice, yes. I always try to make a grand entrance. I'm like, hello, this is a voice. And then they ask me a question like, oh, and, yeah, I can... then my real voice comes out, and I turn into this small child, which is me.
See, we've got to get you to do the intro for the show. In a world where Star Trek fan films get discussed, one team makes the difference.
Yes, I like that. That was good. That was real good.
Can you show us your version?
Yes, you got to do your version.
Oh, jeez. Welcome to The Final Frontier, a Treksphere podcast about fan films. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yes.
We're gonna do
This is the podcast we are talking. We know what we're doing most of the time. Something like that. I don't know.
Please don't copyright that, because we may end up using that as our catchphrase.
A catchphrase. What? Where are we? What's going on? Somebody please tell me.
That's kind of our catchphrase right now.
It really is.
I think officially our catchphrase is, what's our catchphrase?
Yep, that's it. All right, so we've got our weekly roundup of news. What do we got?
I guess we should talk about the end of Star Trek Continues.
Isn't the latest episode like kind of a tie-in with the motion picture?
Yeah. It's like I don't want to spoilerize anything, but without giving away the plot, the ship rolls into Earth and it's been jacked up from its last mission to save the galaxy, and Vic Mignogna, a.k.a. Captain Kirk, a.k.a. now Admiral Kirk in the sporty bell-bottom jumpsuit, gives a nice little... He gives a great little, "It's been an honor serving with you" speech to the cast, to the gathered cast and crew, which is kind of a nifty little...
Awesome.
It's like a double-edged kind of thing, because it's to the crew of the Enterprise and to the crew of his fan film. He was telling everybody thank you and goodbye.
That's awesome. That's a really nice way to tie it up.
Honestly, I could have done without seeing the disco Star Trek uniform. Of all the things about the motion picture that bug me, that might be the worst.
Like I was saying, they look a lot more like pajamas. Like, you know, I mean, I totally wear that to like a convention or something. Just like...
It's got that weird, like, bell-bottom leisure suit vibe to it. I'm sure it's real comfortable, but
oh yeah,
I kept expecting to see Kirk wearing, like, 6 gold chains, you know?
I would have paid to see that, absolutely. Oh, man. Should we talk about the elephant in the room, or are we going to leave that be?
We can briefly mention it. The dust-up over Starbase Studios.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. The most they really did was, you know, release the names of the people involved and the more, like, specific details about, you know, the case and whatnot. But it seems to really just, you know, come back down to just like, oh yeah, someone just, someone decided to be. I didn't read too much into the full details, but it just really seemed to come down to, oh, someone, you know, took all their stuff out of Starbase Studios and now they can't do anything.
Yeah, it was sort of like, I guess, like 3 or 4 guys started this back in the day, and there was a behind the scenes falling out of some type that, you know, everybody involved is kind of on the verge of bad-mouthing the other side, but also trying to avoid bad-mouthing the other side because both sides are still, halfway decent people about the whole thing.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of detail other than official records, but there's some sort of court arbitration going on relative to who owns what as far as all the props and sets are concerned, because these guys had a falling out, and it may or may not mean the end of Starbase Studios, and if it blows up out of control, it may or may not mean the end of fan films.
I wouldn't say that necessarily, because you can still, mock up a Trek set. You just gotta. It's just going to be a little harder.
Well, yeah, but there is some worry from some people that CBS might come down and say, you know what? We tried to be nice with you clowns. We put out guidelines. We had a big problem with one fan film, and we thought the rest of you guys would be civilized about this. But since you guys can't be civilized about this, we're going to teach you a lesson. And yes, apparently CBS is run by the mob when they start. I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised at this point.
So, the hammer may fall on everybody as blowback from this. Or it may just be a simple he said, she said, fans not getting along with each other that'll be resolved quietly.
Yeah, I feel like that's more of what seems to be manifesting. Just like, just a very big conflict of, I guess, conflict of interest, or just, people, claiming their property or saying they did this, but like, but no, that was supposed to be there, and something where, everything just breaks down from the ground up.
And it's hard for people like us to talk about because, we're trying not to pick sides, because I think all of us are friends with various people in various productions that have done various things, and nobody wants to hurt a friend or get caught between friends or anything like that.
It's just sad to see. Like, I don't know. I've only recently kind of discovered, this part of the fandom, because like my experience with the fandom, like before, I want to say a couple months ago, maybe a year, was, I routinely watch Star Trek on Netflix. My entire family are all Trekkies pretty much. And, I just came across, the fan films from a connection. So a friend of a friend, introduced me to Vance, who of course was on this podcast. And from there we collaborated, like, there's all these fantastic people working on fan films, but this time I'm seeing it, from the inside. It's like, this is how you guys do this stuff. And then, to see it just kind of go, before I really have time to really interact more, create more with all these fantastic people. It's just like, that, really sucks. Especially, since Axanar came down, it's just been kind of sad, honestly. It's just, I don't know. That's all I really got to say about that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it's kind of weird. I'm almost thinking the term Trexploitation needs to be invented at this point.
Yeah.
Because there is a weird mentality about it where art and vision are being replaced by a need for fortune and glory or something.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's fine to, want to have an audience, or, want to put out your work in front of a ton of people. That's fine as long as that doesn't become the primary goal. I mean, in terms of, the numbers are more than the satisfaction you get from, just creating for these people and, just putting yourself out there.
I know, Andre, you don't, on your answers, you said you don't watch Discovery, but, that had its fall finale. Did we want to talk about that?
I'm fine with spoilers, honestly. I'm probably, like I said in my review of it, I'm just a poor college student who only affords Netflix and nothing else.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a fan film, but we could at least mention that they did have a fall finale, and it was, I think it was fan-flippintastic.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah. Nice. Nifty little midpoint cliffhanger.
And they're doing a season 2, yeah?
Yeah, they've already been picked up for season 2, but this is just the first half of season 1. Come January, they start. Yeah, they did 8 episodes, 9 episodes in the first half. Yeah. And then they're taking it's the holiday break, everybody's busy with other stuff. So they figure since viewing numbers are going to drop off because everybody's doing holiday stuff. They're taking the hiatus and coming back in January with the rest of season 1.
Yeah, the last 6 episodes.
The first half has been a good show. I mean, eventually it'll be on Netflix. Probably 2 years from now, you'll have season 1 on Netflix and you can catch it then.
I'm crossing my fingers. Woo!
Because it's Harry Mudd. Rainn Wilson as Harry Mudd did a great job. Sinister. Awesome. Sinister with just a hint of that flamboyant quirkiness he became known for during the original series. Plenty of little throwbacks and Easter eggs pointing to the original series and tying it into other shows. It's got a nifty little hook dealing with this whole new experimental transportation FTL mode of travel. They're doing a great job with the whole ethical, philosophical side of Star Trek, especially with the whole consequentialism angle. Nobody wants a war, and the question is it more important to be true to our beliefs, even no matter the cost, or would it be better to say to hell with our ethics, because if we don't win, we're not going to be alive to uphold our ethics, and we got to do whatever it takes to win. You know, it's a great moral debate, and it so far it's living up to what Star Trek should be, and it looks real spiffy too.
I do agree, and I kind of touched in my review of the first episode was it's kind of like that battle between your morals or Starfleet's morals. Or are we going to do your thing, or are we going to do Starfleet's thing? And then, just from the first episode, I could definitely get that very Trekkian feel where it's a battle of morals, a battle of ethics, and it just still kind of sits true to, what Star Trek's all about. I don't really understand why everyone's up in arms because, it's modern Star Trek. It's going to happen. People are going to get upset, but I just don't really see why.
People are scared of change. Change is bad.
Nerds hate change.
I have a theory about why it's especially bad with Star Trek fans, and it is just a theory.
All right, hit me.
During the 80s, when Trek got big again, because in the 60s it really didn't do much. It had a pretty loyal fan base that managed to do a write-in campaign and keep the show alive for an extra season, even though it wasn't that great of a season. And Gene Roddenberry tried to keep interest in the show through the animated series. And after that, it started to peter out and lose interest, but it got a resurgence through the conventions and the fanzines and the clubs. And the fans kept it alive, and some of them invented fan films back in that day. But it was never quite enough to push it back into the mainstream, because his first attempt at a big movie and his first attempt at a second series didn't take off. And then sometime in the 80s, after Wrath of Khan, Star Trek blew up huge. And the origin of Star Trek became sort of almost a legend or a myth that got propagated out there, where Star Trek was sold as intellectual fare. It was for the sophisticated mind. It dealt with deep issues, and it was for a smart audience. And the fans started believing they were a smart audience. And I'm not saying fans are not smart. I'm just saying
I see where you're going with this. Yeah,
Star Trek was always aimed at everybody. It was never aimed at some tiny little elite portion. Mm-hmm. But the fans started believing they were this tiny little elite portion, and they were the best. They had reached the pinnacle. So every time a new series comes up and changes things, it's like it threatened that myth. It's like, but we're the best. We're perfect. We should do things the way we're doing it because that's the right answer. You can't say there's a different right answer, because that makes us less than the best. And I think that's part of why every series has blowback on it, where people don't like it, because you're changing things. Why do you need to change what's the best? It makes it not the best. You're making inferior product. It's my theory. That's my theory.
So it's just like a superiority complex on the part of the Trekkies, where it's just like, yeah, this is the best, and anything that's not it is objectively inferior. I see what you're saying, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And
man.
I don't mean to, I'm not bashing Star Trek because it
Right.
is really, really darn good. And the thing about Star Trek is it's never number one in any single category, but it's always in like the top 5 or the top 3
Yeah.
of a category. So it's
Hmm.
overall kind of collectively is the best franchise.
Yeah.
Individual categories for measuring it, there's always something out there better than it.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
When it comes to doing the whole cerebral, intellectual, philosophical angle, Star Trek's number 3. It's behind The Outer Limits and The Twilight Zone.
Twilight Zone, yes.
When it comes to being one of the longest running franchises in history, it's number 2 behind Doctor Who. When it comes to being a financial success,
Oof.
it's it was number 2 behind Star Wars.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, Star Wars has always been.
Oh, yeah.
Star Wars was aimed for merchandising, and I'm pretty sure Star Trek was the next big thing when it comes to sci-fi franchises as far as being a financial success. I think it might now be number 3 behind the Marvel Universe, if you're going to classify the Marvel Cinematic Universe as sci-fi, then Star Trek is number 3 now.
Mm.
But Star Trek is still beating the DC Universe.
Oh, man.
So, hey, we're number 3, not number 4.
Woo!
And that's the thing. Star Trek has always been successful, and overall, because it's in so many top categories, you can say that it's generally the best, but it's never the apex of any particular category it's in.
Yeah, and just believing anything is like objectively the best. It's like, stop. That's my only response. Just stop.
So that's my long-winded theory about why Star Trek fans hate Star Trek.
Shall we do the question of the week?
Let's do it.
All right, this one's titled Khan. That's my best Khan impression. I'm sorry, or best impression of William Shatner saying Khan. All right. So, what year did Khan leave Earth on the DY-100 class sleeper ship, the Botany Bay? Was it A, 1994, B, 1996, C, 2001, or D, 1988? So again, don't say the answer yet. Just think about it.
Yep,
And,
I'm thinking.
We'll come back to it.
Right.
No cheating though. Don't look up on the computer.
I know.
Bill, do you think you know? Don't say it.
I think I know. Okay.
Yeah,
but
same here.
If I was going to guess a number, I would have been off by a couple of years. But...
All right. Well, we'll come back to it near the end.
All right.
All right. Should we get into the interview portion?
Let's go. It's time to
All
put
right.
Andre Martinez on the spot.
Oh, boy. Yep, and there's the voice, right on cue.
Well, I know Bill and I are looking at the same document where I have some questions written up, but I was going to ask you about, who you are, like what you're currently doing, because you're a voice actor, you're in film school, so tell us about you.
Well, I think if you want to talk about me, we'll start at the beginning. Well, I've been doing all things, I guess, media related since I was 9 years old. I started on, of course, apart from being a very young Trekkie, I was also very into Legos. And one day I came across, so this was like the early days of YouTube. And I came across these videos called brick films, where the people would make stop motion films of with their Lego sets and all this crazy stuff. I'm like, wow, I was really captivated by how they brought like these, your favorite little minifigures, whether it be Star Wars or like whatever, just bringing that to life. I was really captivated by that. And so my dad did a little bit of research, and he introduced me on how to make stop motion on Windows Movie Maker. So I was doing that for, back when I was 9. And then I just kept rolling with it. I made a few movies with, like the little digital camera my mom had. and I'm from Brooklyn now. Yeah, so I started using like a little basic digital camera. Did that through middle school, through high school. You know, upgraded to a camcorder, did a little more stuff. I shot my first. It wasn't quite a feature film. It was a 30-minute film I shot in sophomore year of high school, and then in senior year of high school, I shot my first feature on a DSLR. And that was a 60-minute film about Vietnam. And now I am in Los Angeles studying film. I'm with a little minor in business because, you know, you got to have those numbers to back everything up financially and all that stuff. But yeah, out here, I actually recently discovered voice acting. I just one night in my second semester of freshman year, I was watching this YouTube video of some guys who had made a movie out of footage they grabbed from Grand Theft Auto 5, and you know they were voicing over and all that stuff. And I just kind of thought to myself, like, I wonder what it'd be like to be the voice behind some of those characters. And I looked up like forum posts for auditions, and I just started, and I never went back. I literally started recording stuff on my phone, like, you know, I would record in my room. I would say lines into the phone, chop them up on the computer, and send them over to casting directors. And I actually did get a lead on like a Sims 4 machinima. And then from there, I got a USB mic, which I'm actually using right now, a Blue Yeti, and I kept that for like a couple months, and then I upgraded to like the full shebang with an XLR mic and all this fancy tech gear. I still use my Yeti, still use the USB thing because, you know, I keep it around. It's like not just a reminder of where I started, but also, you know, just like it's useful. It's useful to have like on my desk, and then I have in my studio, my home built studio, my more expensive and my more fancy microphone. But yeah, I'm a professional voice actor. I'm doing a lot of games recently. I'm actually, speaking of Star Trek, there's a dating simulator, a Star Trek dating simulator currently in the works. And I play Chekhov. I play Chekhov in that. It's a real blast. Especially, I think the greatest thing about voice acting is what really drew me to it is that you're not bound by how you look as a person. You're bound by how you sound and how well you can commit to that character. I think like the most outlandish role I've ever landed was for like a 70-year-old Japanese sensei on the Doctor Who audio dramas, the ones that they've been around since like 1982, I think. They have a sweet site. But yeah, that was a 2-hour session that completely destroyed my voice, but it was fun. Oh man, but yeah, that kind of brings us up to today, and that's just pretty much who I am. I feel like I've grown to love acting, especially through voice acting and all that. I started as a filmmaker, and I found my passion of, you know, putting on characters, putting on different people, and presenting them. And I know we talked about Vance earlier a little bit, and I've been in one of his fan films, the recent one, Stand With Me, I believe it was called. I wanted to say Stand By Me. He was like, nope, that's another movie. But yeah, that's where I am. That's who I am. Did I cover most of the question?
Yeah, that was really great.
Woo! All right.
What can you tell us about the Adventures of Dean France?
The Adventures of Dean France. Oh boy. All right. Well, this started as just a little silly little idea I had in my head. I think this was before I went to college, somewhere around then. I was toying with an idea with an ex-girlfriend of mine about a pair of cadets who are in the academy, and they're on all sorts of adventures together, but it's mostly about this guy named Dean France. He's our main character. He starts out as an ensign, and then we later track him down. We see his adventures throughout the series. And originally this was going to be a fan film until, you know, Axanar happened, and then all this stuff went down. I'm like, oh. what I did is, over a couple months, I wrote an okay script. Man. The writing for the pilot, it was alright. It was okay. It was definitely a learning experience. So it is an audio drama, of course, I think we mentioned earlier in the podcast. But because the Axanar the Star Trek fan film guidelines strictly apply to fan films, not audio dramas, so, I can do 30-minute episodes, 30-minute episodes, which is kind of what we're going for. But the pilot of Dean France is out right now, and it's available on my YouTube channel. I don't know if you guys are going to put a link or something to it in the yeah. All right, so the link is in the description or wherever text is to be had. The link should be there. You can check out the pilot episode. And right now, all the other episodes are in development. We have 6 more coming. And I will, in terms of story, I will say that it covers Dean France as he ascends the ranks, and then we kind of stay on him being captain around the middle of the season, and then we close off with staying in that relative time space. But a lot of it's like, him climbing through the ranks and learning, and dealing with what it takes to be a Starfleet officer. I think that pretty much covers Dean France. But yeah, go ahead and check it out. It's like 36 minutes last time I checked. Cool.
I really enjoyed listening to it. I had started listening to it when you first posted it in the Star Trek fan group, and then I became busy and I only got to listen to a part of it, and I was going to come back to it. And yesterday I finally got to listen to all of it again.
Awesome.
And, I thought it was really good, so I look forward to the next episode.
We're just going to pretty much rapid fire it from here because, I'm going to try and get the scripts out to everyone and, just get it all knocked out, and then from there we'll have regular releases. Right now, it's just the pilot. There's just the one shot, and then we're going to do all 6 more in the future.
When does the second episode come out? Do you have an estimate? Or maybe you don't want to commit to that.
What's funny? It's like whenever I give an estimate, usually it comes out at least a month late. So if I had to put a date on it, I think I want to say the first month of the summer, so like around June-ish.
Okay.
Again, I'm really busy with school and doing career things. So it's definitely a priority of mine, and it's definitely something I plan to finish, and that's just something I don't leave things unfinished. That's just something I don't do. I'll leave something for like a little while, I'll come back to it, I'll leave it on the shelf, but eventually things do get done. I don't give up. So.
Well, I look forward to it.
Glad you do.
All right. Now the question I had to follow up all of that, when I was listening to it and then I read the credits on your YouTube link, I was struck by the fact that you are not Dean France.
Oh. Yeah.
It's not that people who make fan films are conceited egomaniacs who have to be the center of attention, but usually the guy who makes the project plays a lead role because of personal. Did you not want to be the lead role, or?
I think I really didn't give this decision much thought, per se, but I do feel like seeing it from a distance and allowing the character to become kind of his own was kind of what I was going for. When I was learning to direct actors, a lot of it came down to, allowing them to make their own choices, because they're just as entitled to make creative decisions as within reason, of course, as a director is. They're creating as well. They're artists as well. So I guess it was more of just like, including the actors in that, letting Dean France kind of take on a life of his own. And while, I understand, like, I'm not saying that, playing the lead role is, and directing at the same time is a bad thing. Like, no, I totally get it. Like, I totally want to be a Starfleet officer. I can totally get the appeal behind that. It's just, it just kind of ended up that way. I'm like, I want to hand this off to someone else and see how they do. I mean, like, if worse comes to worse, if I can't get in contact with the lead role, then I'll step in. But ultimately, I do want to leave it on someone else. And maybe, who knows? Maybe later on down the road, I'll do a fan film, like an actual film, and I don't know, maybe I'll star in it. Who knows? But yeah, I understand. I hear where you're coming from, but I just feel I wanted to leave it to someone else and to let Dean France be Dean France is kind of my answer.
Was there, now it says it was Chris Defina or Defina?
Chris Defina, yes.
Chris Defina was Dean France.
Yes.
Any of the things that he brought to the character that you didn't think of that you just really enjoyed, or anything you want to tell him never do that again, or?
Yeah, no, I get you. He brought some pretty interesting or at least a perspective to the character. It's interesting to, like, you write a script, you have, the character in your head, and you pass the script off to someone else, and then it suddenly becomes something. I mean, of course, it's, you cast them for a reason, because, like, they could play the character, but somehow it becomes different. What Chris Savina really brought to the role was kind of he brought, it's interesting because, in voiceover you can't see the person, but his voice really has a unique smile to it. I can't quite describe, like, that's the best, like, word I can put to it, but he brought, like, a smile, a sort of a cockiness, a sort of a positivity to his character. And I really like that. And what's funny though is that I'm without giving away too much, poor Dean, I do so many terrible things to his character. But that's what's so great about what Chris brought to the role, was that, he brought this positivity. It's like, yes, that is what Dean France is about, but that's about to take a very different turn.
Oh.
But yeah, he definitely fit the role very well, and of course that's why I cast him. That's why it all happened, and yeah, he was hoping it all works out in the future. Yeah.
What was the most challenging aspect to producing, making, writing The Adventures of Dean France?
I think, that's a really good one. It's mostly a deal of time, and I've always struggled with that, and especially in my productions in college. Because, I've got college assignments that are due. That's a thing. It is. Yeah, timetables are a huge thing. I've found that I do take a long time to write. I'm not satisfied with, just sitting in front of a page and just, typing out whatever is on my head and, just do. I'm very picky about what I put on the page. And, that's usually where most of the time goes, is, cranking out the scripts. And then, of course, the other time thing is something that's, out of my control, is voice actors, who are submitting lines, people who miss lines, things of that nature, and making sure that that's taken care of is another thing that slows us down. But, it's something out of control, and it's a volunteer production, so I totally get it. And those are the two main things, but overall it really seems like, yeah, I'm a college student, I have homework stuff to do, I have all this stuff to do. It's a matter of, just finding the time, but also finding the time to be creative, because you can set aside like an hour or something, like, all right, I'm gonna or like, an hour's too little. Set aside 3 hours, like, okay, I'm gonna write this out and it's going to be great. But, you get there and suddenly you're extremely exhausted. I don't know, maybe you had a bad day, maybe things just didn't go right. Or maybe you're just not feeling it. And it's incredibly hard to plan around this kind of stuff, where it's like you sit down, it's like, yeah, I'm pumped for Dean France. All right, what is he going to do here? A lot of it, again, kind of summarizing the points, is it just comes down to pickiness about writing, and then just general production slowdowns. And then ultimately it's like, I'm a college student. I don't have much time on my hands. There's only 24 hours in a day, as my mom likes to put it. And 12 hours you're supposed to spend sleeping.
Wasn't there 26 hours on Deep Space Nine or something like that?
26? Oh, was there? I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, like they had a 26-hour day because of Major, and they still didn't have enough time.
But yeah, ultimately it's like time is the thing. As much as I'd love to like just spend a week driving myself crazy, like producing this, it's, oh man. And then there's also creative burnout. Ooh, that's a totally different thing, you know. Especially, I don't know, that's like something I've been struggling with for the past couple weeks. Also, depression doesn't help. That's definitely not going to help you.
But you're a creative director, writer type. That depression is what fuels your autobiography and the story they make of you.
Oh man, no, but it really is soul sucking when you like you were so passionate about this story, about this character. What is he going to do next? What's going to happen to the Federation? Hint, hint. But it's sad when like you sit in front of this and you're like, I don't know. I just don't want to do this. It's kind of sad, you know? Like when you're so pumped about something and you know like this is your purpose, this is what you're supposed to do, and you sit in front of it and you're just like, none of me wants to do this right now. It's probably the most frustrating feeling and just most demotivating experience you can have as a human being. Or at least a creative human being. Yeah, oh man, to be perfectly honest, it's nothing to be romanticized. It's more of just a very real frustration as a creator, as you just sit down and like, come on, I need to do this, but anyway.
when you're sitting down to write, do you like watch a little Star Trek first, or maybe listen to a movie soundtrack to kind of get in a Star Trek mood? Or
I most of the time I listen to like, you know, soundtrack. The Star Trek Mega Suites are huge. They're the best. They're always a help, you know, like with all that how whatever the user's name is, how he mixed the soundtracks is great. You know, it's great to listen to in writing, but it's not great for motivation per se. And I think what I probably need to do to improve is watch other people's fan films. Because that's the whole reason why I'm sticking with this and why I'm really why I really want to do this is because, you know, people like Vance, because, you know, people have this passion for this franchise. And, you know, I had a moment where, you know, I was really stuck on something and I went to a friend and I'm like, hey, could you help me write this out? And he's like, yeah. And we pounded out like a really great second half to one of the episodes for Dean France. And we also not only did that, but we also like, you know, further built the world that sets up for the final episode. And it's other people. The inspiration from other creators who are just as passionate as you is something that is just incredibly inspiring. And even just in creative, you know, other films I'm doing for like school or just independently, it's incredibly inspiring to see what other people are doing, seeing, you know, this is what I am a part of. This is what this is all about. Seeing that end product that someone else has put blood and sweat and tears in is something that really just keeps me going. I think, again, going forward is like, I don't know, maybe I'll watch one of Vance Major's fan films before I get started writing or something like that. But, yeah.
Yeah,
music isn't as, I mean, when you're writing, sure, but like, you know, it isn't really doing much for me as it used to.
Okay. Yeah, I have the opposite. I've sat down and planned on doing fan fiction, fan film, and watching it's like if I watch Continues or I watch New Voyages or if I watch something by Vance Major, it has kind of the opposite effect on me. It's like, I'm not going to be able to do this good. Why should I try? I need to find the really god-awful stuff to watch so I can be like, if they can do it, I can do better than that, you know.
Hey.
What can you tell us about your experience with Stand With Me?
That was a while ago when we first shot that. And man, part of me is like tempted to pull up, you know, the conversation that Vance and I had. But what my experience was, it was just, Vance came to me, like, he knew I was an actor, and I know I wanted to be a part of his fan films. I wanted to be a part of the Star Trek scene. And he sent me this script, and for those who haven't seen the fan film, I'm not giving much away, but I'm just I appear as a distressed engineer who's stranded on a ship after it's just stranded. I'll leave it at that. But what was what was so great about it is how he managed to work around the distance gap, and he does that with all of his other films where he has like transmissions to other people, and it really works. And it was great because I'm hundreds of miles away from Vance, and I was able to participate in his vision. I think it was just a great experience. I went out to my garage. It's a really intense scene. So, I prepped myself, and I just shot 2 takes in the garage. I sent them to Vance, and he was just like, "Great, this is some really awesome stuff." And just being a part of that, I think, is what really is the magic of Vance's films. Because I can't evaluate his work on the level that I'm working with. I'm in freaking LA where with all this crazy pressure to do the absolute best, and all you have to get these shots have to mean something. Your screenplay is awful. Do this, do that. You're not good enough. But with Vance's films, he's just like, we're gonna go out, we're gonna do this because we love it. And that's working with Vance and acting in his film and being a part of his vision and being a part of his just kind of the world he created it really brought me back to my roots. After spending, this is my 3rd year in LA, after, constantly, evaluating and reevaluating and reevaluating my work and the work of others, and constantly rethinking my own content, times where, I'm just like, what, I should never, ever touch the mic again. Remembering what Vance allowed me to be a part of, and, just said, what, we're just going to do it. It's going to be great. Give us what you got and have fun. And I did just that. And just working with him has made me, rethink, why am I here? Why am I still doing this? And, where did I start? That's really, the magic that really was working with Vance and just being a part of the world of Menard and the Constar and all that stuff. So that's my experience with Stand With Me.
No, I don't want to spoilerize it for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, but your character is in a pretty bad place mentally, emotionally. And you mentioned earlier about trying to overcome depression when you're writing sometimes. Doing that film, was there any kind of catharsis with that, or was it something where maybe just you could draw on your depression to give it life? Did it trigger your depression and make it worse for a while, or did it help?
The thing is that this was back when I was still trying to understand method acting. And right now I'm working on something with a fantastic director. Her name is Alex. She's fantastic. But
a fan film or
this is for something for class. And and this is more recent, but we were workshopping something in class, and I was really able to finally tap into that vulnerability But with, back when I was doing this film, excuse me, back when I was doing Stand With Me, getting in that place was more of finding. At this point, I was just kind of just groping around in the dark, trying to find the right expression. But right now, I'm working on finding the right mindset. So back with this film, I wasn't actively thinking about, all the heartbreak or whatever happens in life, but really latching onto that very abstract feeling. So, I was alone in the garage, it's a very dimly lit place, and all I had, I had my phone light on so the audience could see my face, and I just kind of sat there for a moment, and I really focused a lot on the words. Because, when a character says something, he says something for a reason. He's not just saying something like, exposition, like, watch out, better watch out, the Dominion's been taking such and such a planet, oh no. It's more of, there's a motivation behind every word, and that's really what I focused on, is making sure every single word was believable. Because this guy, he's been alone for a long, long time, and I really wanted to just be like, all right, so he's probably been talking to himself for a little bit, but like now he's actually talking to someone else that's not himself. And so I really wanted to bring that across. And I think there was a particularly there was a yelling line, and that was one that was particularly challenging, was to really, again, get the motivation behind that, behind those words. And kind of bringing it back, though, is with Vance's, just like, we're just going to do it because we love it. I can analyze it, I can reanalyze it, I can reanalyze it, but, it's just, I went for it, I did my best, and I had fun. So.
Well, I mean, you're basically, given the title of the show and your line in the film, you're the main character of that particular episode. I mean, because you're the guy who says, "Stand with me."
I was really happy to be a part of it.
Just for fun, any famous, iconic Trek characters you like to do impersonations of in your voice repertoire?
Oh man, Trek characters.
You did mention you were doing a Chekhov for.
Yes, I do a Chekhov. Yes, but that is more of like the 2009 film. It's very different from the original series.
Anyway.
Okay.
But that's just Chekhov. Let's see. What's okay? No particular character in mind, but I feel like Klingons and Ferengi are the most fun to play around with, because you really get very, very like teethy. It's like, you disrespect my honor, sort of very shouty or stuff like that. Those characters are always fun. But in terms of impressions, kind of segueing into impressions, accents are fun. Accents are always the best, because you're watching, oh, I guess I kind of stole Bashir on this one, but, I should really pursue, Bashir roles if that happen to be. If you need a Bashir, talk to me. That's, go right ahead.
He is like the chick magnet of voice work, so
that's
ladies,
true.
He can be your Bashir.
Be a Bashir. Bashir. Julian Bashir.
There you go.
That's pretty spot on.
Man.
Yeah. I can hear the James Bond 60s version of the Deep Space Nine theme as you say that.
Yes. I love that episode. The first time they introduced Bashir as the Bond character, I'm just like, I didn't see this coming, but I really should have.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned you love doing the Klingons and the Ferengi because of the teeth work, and do you have among your Star Trek collectible stuff? Do you have Klingon teeth and Ferengi teeth that you might wear to help along supporting, or do you just do it all with your gums?
A lot of it is just placement of the teeth in terms of, like, a lot of people like to jut their jaw out a little bit to get more of that orc feel. More down here. Of course, the throat thing, but also getting the teeth, like I have my jaw right now, and it's producing a very different sound, as you can kind of hear how my words are a little slurred, but it's not to the point where you think I'm drunk or something. It's something along the lines of that. It's just playing around with your teeth placement, and, you know, vocals, of course, but yes, actually having a set of teeth around would be so useful, because that's what, on the show, that's how they get their voices, they have trouble speaking with all their makeup on, so that's just kind of how their voices come out. Oh man, I kind of want to, like, cosplay a Ferengi now. Oh man, I just recently saw the DS9 episode where what was it? Cisco goes back to the 40s, and just seeing Quark acting without his makeup was just, I was just like, wait, no.
Yes. It's far beyond the stars for you guys playing at home.
There's one fan production that you didn't mention that you're a part of.
Oh, that's right. That's right. A Call of Unity. Oh.
I just wanted to mention that you're a part of that. Part of
Yes.
my upcoming audio drama.
I am the first officer Galway. I don't sound like this, but I am a part of it. Yeah, I just used my natural voice for Galway. Yeah, that I'm a part of that. He's when I don't know if I'm trying to make a judge a character, but like I don't know what you had in your head, but he's kind of just ended up there as a first officer, just kind of, especially with the prologue, what happens in the prologue. He doesn't quite know what to do with himself, but he keeps rolling with the punches because that's how he rolls. I don't know if I'm gathering that right, but
I'm just curious what your take is.
Yeah, that's kind of just how I played him. Was just like, he's in this role as a first officer, and he's kind of surprised he's made it there, and especially like one of his lines. I can't say much, but in one of his lines in the prologue, kind of confirmed it for me, where he's there to do his job, but he's just like, wow, I've made it this far. This is a thing. Mm-hmm. That's just kind of how I see his character. Is he does his job, he's good at his job, but he's just like, wow, I made it this far. What? Yeah. I
feel kind of bad for the character because in the story he gets caught up as kind of like the middleman between having these orders that he doesn't necessarily agree with, but he's very by the book, or tries to be.
Absolutely.
He wants to do what's right without giving anything away.
You guys really need to make something awful so that we don't care about spoiling a great plot, because I just realized how odd. Yes, I'm in this thing, but I can't talk about the thing, but we do a thing.
we do the thing, yes.
Yeah,
please believe us.
I told them all to be quiet, because there's certain like little twists or Easter eggs in there that can just, to me, would ruin some of the story. Certain characters. It'll be fun. Hopefully, it'll be fun and good. I don't know. I enjoyed writing the story, and which is interesting that you said that The Adventures of Dean France was going to be originally a film.
Yeah, fan film series.
Fan film series, and because A Call to Unity was going to be a feature-length film, and then of course with Axanar and the CBS guidelines, I went, oh well, I have to. I guess I'm not doing this anymore. We still want to tell our stories just in a different way. I totally get it.
Yeah, no, it's just got to happen. Just it's got to be Star Trek. That's the thing. It's
a lightning round, just a quick little kind of either or thing.
All right.
You've heard him before, so you know how it goes, I'm sure.
Yep.
All right. Who do you prefer, Kirk or Picard?
Picard, because he's a figure to look up to, as opposed to Kirk. He's just kind of immature.
Who's a better enemy, the Romulans or the Klingons?
Oof. I'd say the Romulans would be hard to defeat because they're not predictable at all. They cheat. They work around the rules. Work around how you usually work. So it'd be hard to see where they're coming from as opposed to the Klingons. They have a bunch of traditions and they're probably just gonna come charging right at you. So you know exactly where they're coming from.
Right. And since you did a dating game sim, who's your favorite helpless ensign, Chekhov or Harry Kim?
Oh no! I'm gonna say Harry Kim because he never got promoted.
All right.
Spoilers, no spoilers.
Shall we go back to the question of the week?
Let's hear it.
Oof.
All right. So, what year did Khan leave Earth on the DY-100 class sleeper ship, the Botany Bay? Was it A, 1994, B, 1996, C, 2001, or D, 1988? Andre, how about you go first since you're the guest? Take your best guess.
My money's on A. I'm going all in.
So Andre says 1994. Bill?
I mean, off the top of my head, I would thought it was like later, like 97 or 98. So I'm going to go with B, 1996, because I think 2001 might be too late.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, according to not Wikipedia, Memory Alpha, it is 1996.
Oh!
Woohoo!
So the episode was Space Seed, Season 1, Episode 24. And I have a bonus follow-up question. You want that?
Oh, sure, let's do it.
Okay. What was the Botany Bay named after?
Oh, man.
This I know.
Botany Bay.
Andre.
Was it... was it Khan's hometown?
No.
No, it was... I know this one. I
don't know this one.
The Botany Bay... Well, watch me get it wrong, too. I'm so sure I know it. The Botany Bay was the name of the prison ship that the British Empire used when they shipped all the prisoners to Australia to found a colony.
Well...
see, I got it wrong.
Well, from my research this morning, according to Memory Alpha, it's the Australian Penal Colony, and then I went online to Wikipedia, and it says that the Botany Bay never became a penal colony due to the land being swampy, so instead they made the penal colony elsewhere. So it's not really a penal colony, I guess, to my research with Wikipedia. The ship, I don't recall it being called the Botany Bay. You know what? I can go back right now in my research.
Oh, man.
Or you know what? I'm too lazy. Never mind.
You can just say, we'll just go with the simple answer. Bill, you're wrong.
So simple answer, or simple response, Bill, you're wrong. So have you seen The Wrath of Khan?
Of course I have.
Okay, good. So when Chekhov meets Khan, when he sees the Botany Bay, when he and Terrell find the Botany Bay,
right.
Chekhov is like, "Oh no, Botany Bay." Can you do an impression of him saying that stuff?
Botany Bay. I'm trying to remember what he said.
Oh no.
Botany Bay.
We have to get out of here.
We have to get out of here.
Leave now.
Leave now.
Yeah, and then they leave, and of course, Khan and his
people. His menagerie are just out there, just like, oh.
Yeah.
I was terrified of that scene as a kid. Like, I'd skip forward. I'm like, nope, none of that. We're having none of that. No.
Thank you, Andre. Thank you for being on the podcast. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
And that's all the time we have today, boys and girls. Thanks for tuning in. Like and follow us on Facebook. Check us out at our link at treksphere.com. Like and follow us on Facebook. Check us out on YouTube. We're also available in the iTunes store for free. Thank you very much to Andre Martinez for joining us today. We will be talking to him again as soon as he gets part 2 done. So if there's a delay on part 2, I'm sure it's because he's avoiding us.
Yeah, and you'll probably, if you're friends with me on Facebook, you'll probably see me flustering about somehow, vaguely.
So that's all the time we have today. Thank you very much. And screw you guys. I'm a-going home.